Are you serious? Are you seriously serious? Flint, Michigan, ground zero. What is going on? We know about the fact they switched the water flow, but now we know about the lead contamination in the water of the city of Flint, Michigan. We know the water's brown. We know the water's polluted. We know the water's contaminated. And now there is an outbreak of Legionnaires disease in Flint, Michigan. And I'm telling you, I highly suspect it's from the tainted lead-poisoned water. Matter of fact, Heidi and I were discussing it last night. I said, can you get Legionnaires disease because of lead poisoning in the water? She goes, absolutely. It can be a major contributor to Legionnaires disease. And then she started talking about when there was a Legionnaires disease outbreak in a veterans hospital that was using lead pipes. And so this is very, very possible. You say, what do you mean by an outbreak? 87 cases? 87 cases of Legionnaires? Are you listening to me? 87 cases. 87 cases. Legionnaires disease in Flint, Michigan in a 1-year period. The same year that the flowing of the lead poisoning, the bad water roaring through corroding the pipes. Now, we talked to John Bro on our live broadcast yesterday about methane gas leak in California and about the contaminated water in Flint, Michigan. And I've been covering this. And you know what? I've been on it since day one. And the reason is the Lord just won't let me leave it. He says, you cannot take your eye off Flint, Michigan. They called in the National Guard yesterday because FEMA has just now going to show up and set up a tent to give away water. These people have been living in a city with lead-poisoned water for almost 2 years, and Rick Snyder just last week, Governor Rick Snyder just last week declared a state of emergency. Matter of fact, there's all kinds of, look, folks, we're looking at corrosion, corruption, and a crisis. We're looking at pipes corrosion. We're looking at corruption of how there seemed to be maybe potentially a cover-up on the testing of whether or not this water was lead poisoned or not. We know it is. We know why. And now we have Legionnaires disease. Residents of Flint, Michigan already reeling because of the lead contamination in their drinking water. Got more disturbing news yesterday as Governor Rick Snyder announced a number of cases of Legionnaires disease that has spiked there in the last 2 years, which is the 2 years that the water has been contaminated. All right. What used to be in a 4 years prior to that, 4 years prior to the contamination of the water, to the switching of the water from Lake Huron to Flint River to save money, there had been 4 cases of Legionnaires in the entire city. And now, in the last year, 87 cases of Legionnaires. They have an outbreak. And here's what's causing it, folks. Strong possibility it's the lead in the water. Now, why was the lead in the water? Because the city, under city management, because the Flint, Michigan, and Detroit, Michigan went bankrupt, there was a decision made to no longer buy treated water from Detroit that came from Lake Huron, and instead to get the water from Flint River. And they didn't treat it properly. So when this river water flew through these old lead pipes, they begin to corrode, and the corrosion and the contamination and the water turned brown. People started getting sick, and children got lead poisoning, and the doctors started noticing all these cases, and they took it to the authorities. The authorities pushed them back, and they had to bring it up again, pushed them back. And this thing it's got written all over it: corrosion, corruption, and a crisis. And there's no question about it. And it's happening in Flint, Michigan, and now we got Legionnaires. And what else will come from this? Now, they have switched it back, but guess what? They have switched the water flow back, but the pipes are corroded. So there's still lead in the water, because even though the treated water is flowing through, it's still getting contaminated because the pipes have now been corroded. Are you serious? We're going to discuss all that in our live broadcast today with BP Earthwatch, and also about asteroid TX68 that's on its way. And also, why did NASA create a new office called Armageddon? What about solar flares on the sun? What about methane gas in California? I mean, they're just, are you serious? Are you seriously serious? Don't miss it at 12 noon Eastern at my website at www.paulbegleyprophecy.com.